I'm driving again, and I went through a couple of these towns that were really in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing there, hardly at all. Just a lot of country, some silos, and then like one post office. And there's a couple of small towns that I went through that there was not even I don't think I seen a post office or nothing at all. Very small towns. A lot of the places in the area that I live around me have a lot of small towns around it. And I know that the city that I live in, I think there's about 12,000 people that live in that city. It's more like a town. I mean, it's a small city. There's not any big buildings or anything. And there's not much of anything to do. A lot of the areas around where I live is like that, other than maybe 2 cities. And other than that, the next big city or anything near me is about an hour and a half away from me. And about an hour and a half north, hour and a half south, and then pretty much the area in between, an hour and a half north of me, an hour and a half south of me. That whole area is just scattered with small towns here and there, a lot of cornfields and country, and most of the cities between that, the ones that are not tiny towns of hardly anybody in it, they're probably maybe 10 to 20,000 people. So they're smaller cities. And the ones that are an hour and a half north of me or south, I think they have at least 500,000 or something like that in the whole area. Probably in the county that I live in has probably less people in it than the city north of me, an hour and a half, and the city south of me, an hour and a half. And when I was younger, when I lived in a different state, the cities were a lot bigger than the ones where I live now. And there was a lot of country out there too, because I lived in Florida as a kid, and things were scattered here and there, but things didn't look as old down there. Things were more, how do you put it, clean. They had better roads, better weather. Unless you don't like the heat, then, but I don't like the cold weather at all. The roads in the state that I live in now, they're a bit bumpy. And depending on what town or small city that you're driving through, there's going to be a lot of potholes. And the roads here need work, but the weather here affects it a lot more, going from a moderately warm summer to a freezing cold winter, and then back and forth. Messes up the roads, how fast they fall apart. But I'm probably, I'd say 10 minutes or so away from where I'm going. So I'll just talk about more random stuff until that point. But right now I'm driving, and to the right of me is more some type of crops, and to the left of me is more. I can't tell what they are, but they're not cornfields, at least. I get tired of seeing cornfields all over the place. That's the theme of the type of vegetable they grow a lot of here. Corn everywhere. Small towns, corn, a lot of country area. I know that it could be way more empty. If you lived in a state like Kansas, when you're driving, or somewhere like, what would it be, like Wyoming, I think is one of them, to where it's, the next town is 100 miles away. So if your car breaks down or something, or you need gas, well, it might be 50 miles or so until you get there. I know some places in Kansas are like that. I don't think I've ever actually been through Kansas. I've been to Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky. I think I've been to Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York State, Texas, Arizona, California, Ohio. I don't remember of any other states that I've been to or visited. There might have been a couple that I've been through during a drive with family. And it doesn't count if I'm on a plane flying over them. So I've been to, Florida 1, Georgia 2, North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Texas, Arizona. So I've been about 11 or 12 different states. As far as weather, my favorite is probably Florida. I said the worst weather would be Ohio, or it could possibly be Florida because they get a lot of hurricanes and it does get hot. I guess it just depends on how you look at it. You might hear some bumping sounds because I'm going to be driving over some railroad tracks here in about 5 seconds or so. I see a lot of people drive over railroad tracks and they go, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. And the speed limit will be 35 in an area, or 45. And they're driving, 70. And there's railroad tracks and they just hit them at full speed. And towards another town and city area into where I drive to sometimes to get food, there's probably about 1, 2, 3. I think there's 3 or 4 railroad crossings. 3 of the 4 are really bad, extremely bumpy. I actually hit one of them one time driving, and I was going 35. And the speed to there is 55, so I slowed down to 35, and that was not enough. I slow down to almost a complete stop, and then I go over them about a mile or 2 miles an hour. They're really bad. And people just hit those going full speed, just 70 miles an hour. And the one route I was taking to go to this other job I used to work at, I would go there pretty much the same time every morning. And there was a couple other cars I noticed. I kept seeing the same cars every morning also, around the same time. They worked similar shift hours as me. And I would see these same cars driving in the morning. And then I'd see them so often I started remembering their license plate number. Because I'd be driving, they'd be in front of me, doing that over and over and over, driving so many times, and I kind of just had it memorized. But I would see these same cars, and you would think that they would have remembered or have learned from last time when they're driving to work hundreds of times not to run over the railroad tracks going 70 miles an hour. But they did, and they did it every morning. And I would slow down before I got to the railroad tracks. The speed limit would be 50, 55, depending on the area, but usually switch between 55 to 50. Then going into small towns or city, it would slow down to 45, 35, and then 25. A lot of times 35. So the speed limit would be 55. I would slow down to what was reasonable speed going over the track so I didn't damage my car. The people behind me would all be in a rush, as if I was doing something wrong for slowing down before I got to railroad tracks. I'm thinking, what? What did it... Do they not care about the damage they do to their car? And I saw a couple of times that they drove over the railroad tracks going 70, and then not too long down the road, I saw them have to pull over because they had a flat tire or they damaged something on their car. And I see a lot of people in a complete rush to drive somewhere. They got to drive 100 miles an hour and then run over the railroad tracks and damage their car, and then wonder why they have problems with their car or truck or whatever they drive. It's a mystery to me, but why they do that, but who knows. Maybe I'll know one day. But then again, it doesn't really matter. I just do my own thing and do what makes sense to me. It is now, what is it? What time is it right now? 7:30 in the morning. I don't think I'll be done with my shift and work and everything until, probably got another 5 or 6 hours. Not too long, really. I have a little bit of a longer shift today because I have more to do. But, I'm in another town. This one, I think, is a little bit bigger than the one that I live in. There's more to do here, that's for sure. The town I live in, there's nothing. There's, like, gas stations, a couple fast food places, and, like, 2 or 3 small stores, post office, and not a whole lot else. Some houses, trees, cornfields. That seems to be the theme. Houses, some basic necessities, trees, and cornfields. But I guess that's all you really need. I would rather live in the suburbs or out in the country than a huge city. I wouldn't mind visiting a big city or something like that, sometime, whenever. But it's not really something I want to visit too often or don't want to live in because it's very expensive. I'd rather live in the suburbs or, out in the country. Preferably live near the country, but near the city, but not in the city. Away from the city, but close enough to where I'm, 10-minute drive, so I don't have to go too far to get to anything. But also not in the middle of nowhere. But I have arrived at my destination, and whatever else I can think to ramble on about, I will talk about another time. And if you have any questions, just let me know. But I'm going to go and get this done, and hope you all have a great day. And I will talk to you all later. See you later.